Hello dear students. So now today we would move ahead in this first chapter of class 10 political science, that is power sharing. So in the previous video I have just told you about the structure of population in Belgium and Sri Lanka. Okay. Now what kind of power sharing was there in Belgium and Sri Lanka, that we are going to talk later. But before this, let me tell you about the forms of power sharing. This is the heading today. Forms of power sharing means in how many ways you can share the power. Okay, so this is how we have different forms of power sharing. So first one is horizontal distribution of power. Horizontal of distribution of power means, like, suppose here the power is means has been distributed among different organs of the government. Let's say we have the government here, and we have the three organs of the government. One is known as the legislature, one is known as the executive, and next one is the judiciary. These are the three organs of the government. We have already I think I have just already told it to you about this. Okay, now let's say we have the three organs of the government. Now if you are dividing the power of the government among these three organs, so this type of distribution of power is known as the horizontal distribution of power. So here the power has been divided among these three organs. And one more important thing that you have to remember: none of the organ is having more power. You cannot say legislature is having more power than executive and judiciary. No. Executive is having more power than this and this. No. Judiciary is having more power than this and this. No. Means none of the organ is having more power. And all the power of the government has been divided among these three organs. And none of the organ is having more power. That you have to remember. And one more thing that you have to remember: here we have a system of checks and balance. What is this checks and balance? Like, this legislature is going to look upon the work of executive and judiciary. Means what is the work that they are doing, whether they are doing correct, good work or not. So this legislature is going to look upon the work of executive and judiciary. Similarly, executive, where we have the ministers. Okay, so executive is also means executive also would be looked upon by legislature and judiciary. Means both these two, legislature and judiciary, are going to look upon the work of executive, the ministers, what the work they are doing, whether they are doing correct work or not. So legislature and judiciary are going to look upon the work of executive. Similarly, legislature and executive are going to look upon the work of judiciary also. Okay, whether the judiciary is means doing in means going in correct way or not. So that would be looked upon by legislature and executive. So what I have said here, in this system of distribution of power, the power is divided among the organs of the government, and all the organs, none of the organ is having more power, and each of the organ is going to look upon the work of other. Like, legislature is going to look upon the work of executive and judiciary, executive is going to look upon the work of this and this, judiciary is going to look upon the work of this and this. Are you getting this or not? So each of the organ is going to look upon the work of another. So this type of arrangement of power is known as system of checks and balance. So we have system of checks and balance in horizontal distribution of power. Means what? Here the power has been divided, but there is checking also. Means one organ is checking the work of other two, whether they are doing good work or not. Another organ is going to check the work of other two. Getting it or not? Yes. So in horizontal distribution of power, the power has been divided, and none of the organ is having more power. And one more, what is that? That is, each of the organ is going to look upon the work of other two. Are you getting this? So this type of arrangement of power is known as system of checks and balance. So we have system of checks and balance in horizontal distribution of power. Are you getting this? Are you getting this? Okay, let me write it. So this is what you have to write in on horizontal distribution of power. Means here the power is divided among different levels or the organs of the government, and none of the organ is having more power, and the different organs are going to look upon the work of each other. Means whether they are doing good work or not, they are going to look upon the work of each other. Means a kind of check They are going to check the work of each other. Okay. So this arrangement of power where the different organs are going to look upon the work of each other and none of the organ is superior is known as system of checks and balance. This system of checks and balance is very important. This can be asked separately there. So we have the system of checks and balance in case of when? In case of horizontal distribution of power. So remember this. Are you getting this? Just note it down. Then we will be discussing about the next forms of power sharing, that would be the vertical distribution of power. Just note it down. So the next form of power sharing is number 2 is vertical distribution of power. Means here the power is shared among different levels of the government. It means what? It means the power is divided among center, state, then some regional governments such as municipalities, panchayats. So here this is how the power has been divided. Here you have the center. So then from the center some power is there with the center, then some power is there with the state, then some power is there with the panchayats, etc. So this is the how the power has been divided among state, centers, state and the different regional governments. Okay, are you getting? So this type of distribution of power is known as the vertical distribution of power. Okay, this is not the horizontal one where the power has been divided among 3 organs of the government, but here the power has been divided at different levels. First at center, then at states, then at panchayats. So this is how the power has been divided. Means some power would be there with the center, some power would be there with the states, some power would be there with the panchayats. Means all are having some powers there. So this type of distribution of power is known as the vertical distribution of power. Okay. Now one more thing that you have to remember. The government where the power has been divided between the center and the state. Okay. Here you have the center and here you have the state. So the government where the power has been divided between center and the state, such government is known as the federal government. Example is United States, the best example. There the center is having the power, different power. The states are also having the power there. Again, the states are also having the power. Center is also having the power. So where the power has been divided between center and the state, center is complete, United States of America. Then different states are there. So states are also having the power. Okay. So where the power has been divided between center and the states, so such type of government is known as the federal government. That also you have to remember. Okay. So that is all for today. We'll be discussing some other forms of power sharing in the lecture set. Till then, stay tuned and keep watching. Thank you. Have a good day.